Hello 99ers, and hello to any of the rest of you folks curious to see what a TI-99 4A can do these days. Today I'm back to looking at display modes on the TI-99, and how you can use all the best of them in BASIC. And the reason I say the best of them instead of just, well, all of them, is that multicolor mode is one of the TI-99's core video modes, and there's pretty much no justification for ever using it. The resolution is too low to be of much use, it's more complicated than it should be to develop for, and regardless, bitmap mode does what it does way better. Though we did get some pretty neat multicolor mode demos, at least, as you can see here. As for the TI-99's more useful display modes, though, well, you've got some good options. And thanks to the BASIC libraries developed by Harry Wilhelm, we can talk about using even the most demanding of those in extended BASIC today. Bitmap mode is the most exciting one, and I looked at all the cool things bitmap mode can do with the help of the missing link in my last video in this series. It is really memory hungry, but the graphical detail it can manage is fantastic. Today though, we're moving on to Harry's other flavors of BASIC, including my favorite TI-99 BASIC over the past few years, T40XB. The BASIC that gives you the best set of text mode tools on the TI-99. Now when I start talking about a text mode, I could understand if your first reaction is, wait a second, you've just told me about the full color bitmap mode I can use in BASIC. Why on earth am I going to use a text mode? And, well, fair enough. But hear me out anyway, because there really are some great reasons to use a text mode on the TI-99, at least for the text-driven parts of your program. But add in all the features of T40XB, and you might find yourself using it a whole lot of the time. With features like window scrolling, and tons of fonts, and text highlighting, and the ability to call up full-color standard mode graphics instantly on command. There's a lot in there to make using text fast and effective in T40XB. But the biggest selling point is really simple. 40 columns. Where in Extended BASIC you normally just have the 32-column mode TI called Graphics 1. But when it comes to printing full-screen text in BASIC, T40XB isn't just giving you 8 more columns, it's actually giving you 12. Since the commands in Extended BASIC for dumping a string to screen only print to the inner 28 columns. To print anything more than that, you need to do it one character at a time. So I find it pretty hard to pass up the option to have full use of all those 40 columns. If I'm writing a program that uses full screen text, 40 instead of 28 for print commands is a pretty big deal. What makes this 40-column mode impossible to turn down, though, is just that with T40XB, you don't actually lose your 32-column graphics. You can switch back to 32-column mode anytime you like, and use all the colors and sprites that mode gives you. Yeah, you'd think the downside of using a BASIC built around a text mode would be that you can't use full-fledged color graphics anymore, right? But in T40XB, you can have it both ways, and switch on the fly. Want a full-color game over screen for your 40-column text adventure? Well, in T40XB, you can have it. And you can do that in part thanks to one of the other big benefits of text mode. It's the most memory-efficient video mode on the TI-99. So there's more than enough memory to store all the data your 40-column screen uses, and all the data your regular 32-column screen uses, in the same 16K of VDP RAM, while still leaving lots of space for your program to work in, with your stack space being just a bit less than what it would be under plain old XP. The upshot of that situation being you can modify either screen anytime you need, regardless of which screen you're currently showing. So while you're printing text on your 40-column screen, you can also be drawing new graphics to your 32-column screen behind the user's back, and they'll be displayed immediately when you switch. Whichever mode you're in, your new T40 commands are going to modify your 40-column screen, and all your regular extended basic commands like call char and call hchar and print are going to modify your 32-column screen. Any graphics on that screen are going to be regular standard mode graphics. And those can take a little more cleverness to use well than bitmap graphics. Especially in XB, where you've only got 112 patterns to work with, instead of the 256 the mode can manage. But regular extended basic graphics can still look pretty great. Especially given you've got 28 sprites to work with in that mode, and those really do help to spice things up. Alright, so the main sales pitch for T40XB is that you've got 8 to 12 more columns than you'd normally have in XB, depending on what you're doing with them. And what makes that impossible to pass up is that T40XB doesn't actually take away 32-column mode. It just gives you a 40-column text mode you can use whenever you need it. But of course, it doesn't just give you 40-column text. It gives you a whole suite of subroutines for creating and using 40-column text content effectively. And first off, T40XB builds on one of the cooler features of the missing link: windows. In the missing link, windows were areas you could write text or graphics inside of or outside of. And TML can use windows to create some really attractive text displays. But the thing about TML's window text is, once it's on screen, it's bitmap screen data. The upside is you can put your text anywhere with any spacing at all. But the downside is, once you've done that, there's no way for your program to handle it as text. It's just bitmap screen data. So I like that T40XB combines the convenience of tile-based characters with a lot of fancy extras that we got in TML. One of those extras being word wrap for your windows. And as you can see here, it can be turned on or off. But turning on word wrap gives you automatically wrapped and left justified text in your window. So you don't have to worry about spacing and positioning your text, because that all happens automatically. One more thing that T40XB figures out for you when you're writing text to your windows is scrolling. If you print text below the bottom of your window, T40XB will scroll the window as much as it needs to display your text. So effectively, any window anywhere has all the same conveniences printing to the full screen would in BASIC. But here, everything outside the window stays put. So you can build whatever interface or background you want for your program, and only scroll the parts that need to when they need to. In my TI Composer program for composing speech synth tunes, what this means is only the song area scrolls as you move through a song, and everything else stays where it is.
It's time to meet the Muppets on the...
But for all the talk about text, we haven't talked about the one thing that tends to spice up text more than anything else in Extended Basic, and that is fonts. And T40XB has got plenty of them. These days, T40XB comes on the XBGEM card image, and that comes with 60 fonts. They come in all sizes and all styles, and only some of those are good 40-column fonts, but you still have plenty of options. Personally, I think Font 2, Font 7, and Font 12 are great 40-column text mode options if you're looking for a sensible T40XB font. And I'd say Font 2 is my go-to at this point. It checks all the boxes. Characters have real descenders and ascenders, and still, there's enough spacing that characters never run into each other no matter how you place them. But even with 60 fonts on hand, if you absolutely need more fonts than that, well, you can have them. Since loading fonts from disk and saving fonts to disk are built-in options in T40XB. So you can make whatever tweaks to add extra characters or change existing ones, then save those changes to a font file on disk. No need to start your program with a dozen different call char commands to define your characters the way we normally would in BASIC. You can just load your custom fonts in one command. Or, actually, you can load two of them if you like, since T40XB has twice as many character patterns as XB would normally give you. 224 instead of 112. So there's room for two complete fonts in there, while still leaving space for non-character graphics. But if you don't need two fonts, you can use that upper character range for one of T40XB's other big features, inverted text for highlighting selections, which you can see my Composer program uses to highlight whatever word selected right now, while playing or composing. And if you don't want either of those things, you could even use that upper character range from 128 to 223 for graphics. But I'd say most people are going to be happier doing any real substantial graphics on the full color standard mode screen, which you have full access to, and using text mode for what it's best at. For what non-character graphics you do need in text mode though, stuff like borders or buttons or interface elements, T40XB gives you characters 0 to 31 as a dedicated pattern space that isn't used by those fonts. So for most programs that'll be plenty for the little embellishments. But it's probably not worth spending too much time worrying about 40-column art. T40XB gives you the TI-99's best text mode, while still giving you access to 32-column graphics. So you might as well benefit from what text mode does best, which unsurprisingly is text. Anyway, for all this praise of 40-column mode, some other 80s micros did do one better and offer 80-column modes. So, if you're inclined to say 40 columns simply won't do, I can't entirely blame you. Why shouldn't the TI-99 have 80 columns too? And well, the TI community did develop a couple of 80-column solutions over the years. But the gold standard these days is the F18A VDP, and it's certainly a must-have for me, with higher resolutions on offer and more flexible paletting. But naturally, having an F18A doesn't mean Extended Basic knows how to do anything with it. So to get 80 columns in XB, well, you're gonna need a whole new XB. And that new XB is T80XB. T80XB and T40XB come with all the same features, so if you get used to one, the other's going to be easy. Most T40XB programs will even run fine in T80 mode. They just might look a little weird since, well, you've now got twice as many columns. But otherwise, you've still got 60 fonts, you've still got windows, an automatic wrapping and reflow of text, and you've still got access to 32-column mode graphics anytime you want them. So if you want a ton of text on screen, T80XB can't be beat. I ended up using it for my TI-themed parody of Portal's Still Alive, Still TI, and I regret nothing.
Now these mode 1 graphics make a beautiful line. To the music of the 776 so I'm 99% glad for all the time we spent, and for the people who are still TI.
You might be noticing a bit of an issue cropping up here though at this point. We've kept on adding columns to the display, but we haven't actually added any rows. So our characters are getting kind of smushed. In the first place, 40-column mode managed to add columns just by using 6x8 tiles, so that on a slightly smaller 240-pixel screen, we get 40 columns of 6 pixels each. But then 80-column mode doubled the horizontal resolution, so we're still using 6x8 characters, but they're now also half as wide as they were before, So things have gotten even crazier. Finding a font that works under these circumstances isn't hard with 60 fonts built in, but building custom graphics is another story, since we need to design them with very non-square pixels using 6x8 patterns. The screen is now a bizarre 480 by 192 resolution, and that makes the business of designing graphics pretty weird. Under Extended Basic, normally you're working with 8x8 tiles, and any 8x8 tile pattern is set with 8 bytes. Each bit in that 8-byte value just sets one pixel in the pattern either on or off, or more accurately, foreground or background color. In 40 column mode, on the other hand, we're still using 8-byte values for our patterns, but the last 2 bits of each byte are ignored, since we're not using them anymore for our 6-pixel wide character. So this makes your pattern data for any tile non-consecutive 6-bit values, which is odd. My workaround is to design in GIMP, which lets you set an asymmetric print resolution, so I can set my horizontal resolution to be twice my vertical resolution, just like it's going to be on the T80XB screen. Then I configure GIMP's grid to use 6x8 dimensions, and I can design with vertically stretched 6x8 tiles, which is exactly what I'm going to have on the TI-99 4A. So that's all pretty unusual, and it's not really what you're supposed to be using T40XB and T80XB for anyway. As I say, 32 column mode is there if you want rich screen graphics. There you can give your program full screen graphics if it needs them. But still, it doesn't hurt to have a nice interface or background for your text mode screens. So, for that, you might want to put together a few key tiles. Anyway, nice though it is to be able to bounce back and forth from 40 or 80 column text mode to 32 column full color, well, what'd really be nicest is more columns and color graphics both at once. And after all, in my latest video, I showed off who's behind the Mexican UFOs, and how it combined bitmap graphics and text really effectively. So, surely that's possible. Which indeed it is, and the good news is you can combine text content and bitmap graphics better than ever before these days in the Missing Link Graphic Adventure. The Missing Link is definitely the most powerful way to program full-screen graphics in BASIC on a TI-99, and it'll probably stay that way. But TML doesn't have all the features T40XB and T80XB do when it comes to text. It doesn't have window scrolling, for example. So TML Graphic Adventure is looking like the best hybrid solution from here on out. It combines the best in TML graphics with the best in text mode features, and makes them work just the way you'd want if you were designing a graphic adventure. Mainly it's built to work with a 2/3 screen setup, where the top 2/3 of the screen is dedicated to color bitmap graphics, and the bottom third is dedicated to displaying text or accepting user input. So nearly all of the luxuries of the Missing Link are still here. You can still display full-screen bitmap graphics. You can still use 32 sprites with the help of TML sprite routines for doing fancy things like moving sprites in tandem. And you can still draw lines and shapes to the screen with its Cartesian graphics tools. All that TMLGA takes away from the Missing Link is turtle graphics. But those being more a cool math toy than something you're likely to use in a game, I think TMLGA does just fine by making space getting rid of them. Instead, you get faster loading of 2/3 bitmap graphics, so you can leave any text untouched and just update the bitmap you're displaying up top. And you can still use full-screen bitmaps if you like, but the 2/3 option lets you multitask more effectively in a game with graphics and text. Just like with TML, you can use TI Artist to design your graphics if you like, and there's just one fairly quick added step to convert them to the 2/3 format, if you plan to use that. TMLGA comes with a Save23 command for saving bitmap data from the top 2/3 of the screen, So that'll let you save anything you've drawn to the screen in that top 2/3 format. Will I ever write an adventure in TMLGA myself? I hope so. So much of the infrastructure's already there, and it's a well-oiled machine, clearly. Now, if I just had any artistic ability at all, I'd be ready to roll. But with Tercey's Convert9918 utility, converting assets to TI bitmap graphics has never been easier, so maybe there are some possibilities there. Anyway, I hope some of you folks are interested in making the most of some of these cool flavors of TI-99 Basic, because we don't just have faster basics in the present day of the TI-99. No, we have basics that let you use the features of the system in new and unique ways. You've got the missing link for full-screen bitmap graphics. You've got T40XB with its suite of 40-column text mode tools. Then if you've got 80-column hardware, you've got T40XB's big brother, T80XB. Plus, there's TMLGA, if you want the best tools for combining bitmap graphics and windowed text in the way that an adventure game usually wants to. So that's a lot of options. However, there are some options I still haven't talked about yet. So we'll have to get to those next time, because what's really transformed the TI-99 world lately is our ability to compile just about anything written in BASIC thanks to the XB Game Developers package. But that's a story for another day. Keep on coding, folks, because coding on the TI-99 has never been more fun and more productive than it is today. So, if you've got an idea for a coding project, tell me about it in the comments. Talk to you next time, you crazy nerds.